you are enjoying today. Tune in to 8 a.m. 1220 KDOW. Kym McNicholas and Dr. John Phillips have a great show waiting for you.
Welcome to the Heart of Innovation, 60 minutes that could save life and limb, with new breakthrough ideas and innovation changing the healthcare landscape. Brought to you by Patient Advocacy Group, the Global PAD Association at padhealth.org, in partnership with Reflow Medical, the pulse of medical ingenuity. Here are your hosts for the Heart of Innovation, Emmy Award-winning journalist and founder of the Global PAD Association, Kym McNicholas, and interventional cardiologist and founder of Save My Piggies Health and Wellness, Dr. John Phillips.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the show. This is probably one of the first shows in a very long time that I don't have some fancy schmancy introduction, because I kind of want to get right to it. I'm so excited about this topic. It is the most innovative gifts for the holidays for those who are suffering from poor circulation in the legs, known as peripheral artery disease. Leg pain, leg cramps, yeah, that may be peripheral artery disease, and worth checking because it is a disease that is more prevalent and deadlier than most cancers combined. And so it's really important to talk to your doctor about it if you have risk factors such as high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes in particular, even if you are pre-diabetic, if you've ever smoked, if you have a genetic history of any coronary problems, always worth having your legs checked, especially if you are having symptoms. But that all being said, during the holidays, we always are looking for the perfect holiday gift for people to help them in whatever situation they are in. And because both Dr. John and myself focus so much on peripheral artery disease and trying to save those piggies, we decided that this show would be dedicated to helping those with PAD, as well as their family, their caregivers, even doctors and clinicians, just them to find the perfect holiday gift that could help them feel a little bit better. Right, John?
Yes. And in fact, Kym, I need you to help me with something. So one of the gifts that, or places where you can get gifts, right, is through the websites where you can go onto the link and you can shop, right, at the Global PAD Association website, right, or whatever.
Peripheral artery disease .shop. Peripheral artery
.shop. Okay.
.shop.
All right. So what I want to do, and you're going to help me with this, is that there are some Save My Piggies ornaments, I think, right?
Yes.
And so everybody that is a participant in today's show, and I see like 8 people or so, you're going to help me. I'm going to buy an ornament for everybody that's on the show.
Oh, no way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Are you serious?
So I don't know if you can get more people to join on, but nonetheless, the shop closes when we go off the air. So where is it? It's on page. Let's see.
Yeah, we have to find it. I think that
I think it's
on
on
all
page
kinds of things.
4.
There are a lot of,
but you're going to have to get
water
addresses
bottles and mugs, and there's even an apron, which I think I need to get that apron for my Food for Thought Fridays, where we do Patty's Plate and we cook on Fridays. And there's even an apron on there. And there's even stuff for the dogs, Paws for Pad.
Yeah, go to page 4 maybe. Or no. Yeah, there it is. Okay, right there. So
there it is.
There it is. So everybody, any participant will get, addresses and whatnot. They get us, and you're going to help me with this. I'm paying for it, but they're getting the Save My Piggies ornament because Christmas is around the corner here, and we're talking gifts and whatnot. So
I love that. So for those who are listening, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're right here, but you have to be watching live. It has to be during the actual live hour. Whether you're listening to KDOW live, where we have 20,000 people listening in, Dr. John.
Well, we may have to put some guardrails on it.
I'm just saying.
I know.
If they call our producer Colin right now, or go to our YouTube producer Josh right now, you're in so much trouble.
We are in trouble, but you're going to have to help me. I don't know how we're going to send them out, but we'll figure it out. But anyway, I thought that'd be kind of fun. So we'll see what happens.
That is incredibly kind of you. And I think it's really funny to be said. You had such a crazy week this week. I mean, I don't know if people really understand sometimes, what you do as a doctor, and you not only save the piggies of your own patients, but then you end up on call. And I called Dr. John in the middle of a procedure, and it was absolutely crazy that he
That's right.
his nurse answered the phone and she was so kind. But she said
Mhm.
you weren't. And I said, "Oh my gosh, please do not disturb Dr. John." She's like, "Are you sure you don't want to talk to him?" I said, "No, it's nothing important. We're just going to talk about saving the piggies show." And she says, "Well, he's not really saving piggies right now. What were you doing? Was it, I thought she said there was something with a lung.
Yeah,
Were you
yeah.
doing a
So
pee?"
we were treating somebody with a pulmonary embolism, and
Wow.
we were actually using my partner and I, Michael Jolly. We were using a research a new device. It's part of a research trial, and so we were just trying to figure that out. But basically, it's a big tube that you put up to the lung arteries and you try to suck the clot out. And we were we were doing that. And so she did say, because the nurse Molly had said, "Hey, do you want to talk to Kim?" I said, "I can't right now, but certainly will at some point." That was kind of a crazy night too. But I just, if I could digress for a second, because we don't necessarily need to do the moment of inspiration, but I do want to highlight, and I mentioned this patient to you on Friday, a really stoic and kind of a true um, save my piggies person, patient I met as a second opinion for peripheral arterial disease. And really, she inspired me in the sense that she spoke about some of the frustrations that she'd had at seeing some other physicians. And she basically said, listen, and she had all her piggies, she had all her toes on her right foot. But she said, I would not have these toes if it wasn't for me. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, I just kept fighting and fighting, and people kept telling me amputation. I said, no, 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 no. And I said, this is fantastic. I got to get you hooked up with this support group. And then
Yes.
I gave her your contact stuff. So she's really inspired me, because some people, like you said, they kind of mail it in, and you get depressed, and it's just frustrating having it. She's been dealing with the wound for over a year now, and it's
Wow.
frustrating. So anyway, it was inspiring. So that's that.
It is, and she must really be a fighter because to have a wound, those wounds, when you have poor circulation, are it's literally you think to yourself, when in the world is this ever going to go away? Will I ever have a day where I'm not having to worry about this wound and dress this wound and worry about infection? And it's very frustrating, even when you do have circulation returned, it's never full circulation, right?
Yeah, and it's I mean, think about having, honestly, like think about having something chronic that you see that's not healing for over a year. I mean, that's
Yep.
just, it's got to be frustrating. I mean, having a again, tweak, let's say you were working out and you tweak your shoulder. That for a few months of that is annoying, let alone a year. So, yeah, obviously very frustrating.
And that's why I wonder sometimes, I don't blame patients when they're like, you know what, just cut it off.
Hmm.
But it's so great when they fight and they know that there are other options available. And it's great to have doctors like you that are out there that will fight alongside these patients. And with all that being said, coming up right here on the Heart of Innovation, I can hear the music. My producer, Colin, is coming in my ear. Um, Gifts for those people who are suffering from peripheral artery disease that hopefully will provide a little bit of comfort and care. So stay with us. I heard you, Colin. I was ready for Colin to come in and yell at me.
Yeah, the it's kind of, it's nice how the music is soft and then it gets a little bit louder, and then it's those those audio cues are very um they're just there. Good work,
He was
Colin.
being he was being very kind.
Yes.
He was ready. He was ready to jump in and go, "Whoa, now you're taking advantage."
Yeah.
So, so what do you think? That was really nice. I would like that Save My Piggies if you want to get her scheduled. That would be really nice to
Yeah.
share her story.
I'm
Um,
actually probably what I'll end up doing. She needs an angio, so I'm getting some testing next week. I'll probably get her in before, well, hopefully next month. I guess it is almost next month. And then, yeah, we'll have her on. But I mean, again, every once in a while, you'll see somebody that is like not taking no for an answer. And you could tell she has scleroderma. So scleroderma is a systemic disease. It's autoimmune. And uh, your fingers get really rigid and stiff. So flexibility is an issue, and you can have lung problems and um, Raynaud's, esophageal. I mean, it's a terrible disease. And for her to just be like, yeah, I'm going to keep fighting. Like, I don't care. She basically said, I don't care what this doctor says. I'm finding somebody else.
We have
All
Becky. I
right,
have to give a
everyone. That was
shout out
actually a
to
good moment to
Becky.
break and say this. We got about 20 seconds till we air.
Thank
I
you.
have been holding back my temptation to talk because y'all been having a good time.
We have. And Becky actually says that she doesn't want to be forgotten. She wants one of those ornaments.
Again, how do we get their addresses?
Oh, I have a lot of them that I can
Okay.
see right now.
All
And
right.
if Josh can get those that are coming in on YouTube, there might be a couple on there. That would be great, Josh.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kym McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Welcome back, everybody. So, Kym, should we go shopping? Let's see this list.
I think so. You've seen the list that I put together. Is there anything that you wanted to start with that really strikes your fancy? Just being the doctor and dealing with, these patients every day and hearing, their pain and their suffering and what they're going through.
Well, I mean, you're always going to get, if there's something with exercise, that's where I'm going to bite. And so there was the one, it was like under the desk foot and hand pedal. So
Yeah.
something, I think a lot of times patients, because we always talk walk, 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 right? Well, walking is a treatment for PAD. It helps develop little bypass vessels and things, but it can be hard and it can be difficult during the winter months. So if there's something that is affordable and allows a patient to kind of get moving from not only the leg muscles, but also from cardiovascular, there's a significant benefit if you do true cardio, right? Get the heart rate up. I want folks to do that. So if you have I mean, obviously treadmills are expensive, but if there's something that's not too expensive and you can move around on, let's get it.
Yeah. There's one, you have the Underdesk, and for those that are viewing on YouTube or on Facebook or other social media platforms, you can see that you can get an Underdesk or stand-up desk treadmill, and this one is as low as $99. And there are also manual full treadmills that you can get, and especially for those that are worried about their gait and are at risk of falling. Sometimes those electric ones can be a little dangerous. So even though the manual ones are a little harder, they are less expensive, and you can get a fold-up one for less than $150 on Amazon. And make sure if you do want one that you do end up getting one during Black Friday, because you might be able to get a deal. There's also the foot ellipticals. Now, none of these other ones really replace walking as medicine, according to the data that's out there. It's all about walking specifically that grows those collateral vessels to reroute blood flow. But there are a lot of people, like the patient you were mentioning in the first segment, that may not be able to walk right now, and they would benefit from one of these other options, such as the Underdesk elliptical that you can get, and they come in all price ranges. We've actually provided mini exercise bikes for a lot of people, and especially someone who has recently been amputated. They're not able to get up and walk. They're not able to go and use the foot elliptical. And these mini exercise bikes can not only be used on your feet, but they can also be used on your hands. It's really important. You're not necessarily going to die from your legs. You're going to die from a heart attack. And so you got to get that cardiac workout, and you can do it with just a hand bicycle.
Yeah, I think that's great too, because it's also a shot in the arm for the patient who maybe had a little minor amputation. And again, I have to imagine that's pretty depressing to lose a digit or all your toes, and then think, okay, I've got a good leg. I need to keep that good leg strong. How do I do that? And some of these things are really beneficial for patients. And I always tell people, for every hour you exercise, you live 3 hours longer. So chew on that
And
one.
something that And this one is something that I'm not sure if you've heard of, but yoga toes. And we have Kevin Morgan, who we've interviewed on this show
Yeah.
before, who is an Ironman triathlete at 80 plus years old. He's had aortic dissection. He has full blockages down his legs, groin to toe, in both of them, because he has genetically high cholesterol, in simple terms. And this is one of the things that's really helped him to strengthen his feet, strengthen his toes, help with that circulation, because it's very rare that a doctor will actually go with a wire and balloon into that very fragile area in the foot, that pedal plantar loop, because it's just going to block up, and there's a high risk, right, to damage down there. And so if you want to increase the circulation yourself and strengthen those muscles and build those collaterals, Kevin Morgan says that this has actually worked for him in strengthening those toes and those foot muscles and getting those collateral vessels growing for him. But as we always say, always check with your doctor to see what's right for you.
Yeah, and I wonder if something like that would help folks who are at risk of potentially, having a hammer toe or some deformation of the toes, because I think Dr. David Alper has mentioned this. As we get older, the foot changes and the digits get a little bit wonky. And a lot of times you'll see people who have a couple digits rubbing together, and then that's what causes that ulcer and things. So that's kind of cool.
And, speaking of Dr. David Alper, he had a few suggestions. He's a retired podiatrist. He's on the board of the American Podiatric Medical Association and on the PAD Alliance Advisory Board for the American Diabetes Association. And he actually mentioned that one of his favorite holiday items for a PAD patient and a diabetic patient is Utterly Smooth daily moisturizing cream. And he says, this is a reminder, never, ever, ever put it between the toes. But he said, this is great for your feet, for dry, cracked feet. And we even have, and I believe, I don't know if she wants to say anything, but we have Marcia, who's here, who actually was one of the ones who got Dr. David Alper to bring it to the forefront and suggest this for everybody. And I'm guessing she doesn't want to chime in, so that's fine.
That's pretty cool. What about the Instapot?
There she is.
Oh, Marsha's on. All right, cool. Hey, Marsha.
Oh, I was just going to say I've used it. What he actually recommended to me was an ingredient that's in it, and now I forget which ingredient it is, but it helped me tremendously. So, just a testimonial.
Yeah, there's some of the ingredients. He says the basic and the more natural, the better. You don't want a lot of perfumes and things like that in there. So, just make sure that you're getting something also that you're not allergic to. That's, I think, the most key. And also, speaking of feet, Dr. Phillips.
Yeah, what do we got here?
Diabetic socks.
Yep.
Why are diabetic socks helpful for these patients?
Well, at the end of the day, the biggest risk that a patient has who has diabetes is, and if they have peripheral arterial disease, is an ulcer. The ulcers occur at the tips of blood flow. So that's the tips of the toes, sometimes pressure points on the heel. And patients need to wear well-fitting and socks to protect the toes to some degree. You want it to breathe. You want it to have some good cushion. I still have seen patients, they'll come in flip-flops when they have an active ulcer. And you kind of shake your head and you shake them like, hey, come on, you gotta protect the piggies. You can't wear open-toed shoes. At least I don't recommend that. Because if you have an ulcer, and a lot of these come from trauma, so you've got to insulate the foot and the piggies from trauma, particularly if you're trying to heal another toe of some sort. So very important.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And before we go to break, I just want to show you one more, which I thought was interesting. Curious your thoughts on it. One of the patients in the group suggested these Naboso socks, and they're mini massage socks that you can get. And these are supposed to provide you with a little bit of relief. They're recovery socks meant for athletes, but she says that they have really felt good after a long, hard walk, pushing through that pain to grow those natural bypasses. She said these feel so good when she goes home and she puts them on, because even as it says here, with every step you take, neurostimulating texture acts like a little mini massage for your feet,
And
enhancing
that's I
circulation.
imagine it's cheaper than an actual pedicure that has a massage, but $60. Those I don't know how many pairs you can have of those.
Well, you can have 2 pedicures for that price,
Oh,
and
can you?
so
Okay,
maybe
all
it's
right.
worth it.
All right, maybe it's worth
Anyway,
it.
well, coming up right here on the Heart of Innovation, we'll have more holiday gifts for people with poor circulation, so don't go away. That was interesting, huh? Where should we go next?
That's cool. Let me see. What else was I looking at that I liked?
Gosh, it's so hard to actually navigate between these screens.
What about
It's
the
hard.
Ninja? Let's talk about food.
Ooh,
Let's talk
yeah,
about the
let's talk about
cookbook.
food. And actually, I don't know if, and sorry to spring that
Is
on you,
it?
Marsha, you were great, but maybe Douglas, because Douglas is also, maybe we start with my book, and we could go into the
Yeah.
Ninja, and we can go into, because in that book, we talk about, and Douglas actually has a page in the book on the Instapot and how it changed his life. So it might be
I
an interesting.
just saw a commercial, I think, with uh what's his name? Is it David Beckham, the football or the
Yeah.
soccer player? And he is promoting the Ninja like as the various different devices that they have that you can kind of cook your whole Thanksgiving meal with it. And like he cooked a turkey,
What?
and I don't know, it must be big enough where you can put a small turkey in this thing, because he cooked a turkey in it, but made desserts and all sorts of stuff. So evidently there's a lot out there with the Ninja product line.
Yeah, and well, I love, it really changed the Instapot, the Vitamix, and the air fryer changed my life. It was pretty awesome. Um,
We were
trying,
Zooming with my brother last night because he lives in Wisconsin, and he was cutting up zucchini and just into strips, and he was putting it. I was watching him because we had the Zoom thing on or whatever, and he's putting it in the air fryer, and they turned into like little French fries or ish, and he was eating these like zucchini fry. How good is that for you, right? Man, they look pretty tasty too.
yeah. So I have that ready to go in
You have
case
the
we
book
want.
ready to go. I'll tee us up for that one.
Okay, and then we can go into the Ninja, the Instapot. Oh, the ingredients, the anti-inflammatory spice thing, and stuff like that.
Is it was it 2 years ago we did the Thanksgiving cooking show?
Oh, I know. That was so fun. He was
It
going
was
to do it
fun.
again, but Thanksgiving fell at a weird time this year. So,
It is. It's so late too, and then or it feels late. I don't know.
yeah. Oh, and we're also going to talk about, we'll also have the olive oil. Thank you. I think that, I don't know
Yeah,
who
I
said.
love the olive oil. It's good stuff.
But feel free also, Dr. John, because people can get gift certificates for like game day, for
Yep.
injections and things like that.
Yep, we can certainly I can direct them to
Especially
the
since,
website.
yeah, well, especially since it's November and it's men's health, and it's great to have a men's health consult, I think, and giving the man in your life a consult, no matter what he wants to do or what, but to have that actual gift certificate to get checked, I think is pretty huge, and it's good
All right,
timing.
Santa's little helpers, we got about 5 seconds till we go back on air.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kym McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Welcome back, everybody. We are talking PAD stocking stuffers today, having a grand old time. And I'm like a dog chasing a squirrel. I lit a candle today. Like, I'm into candles all of a sudden. And I was thinking, candles are really nice to kind of help reduce stress, because PAD can cause stress. The holidays can cause stress. So I'm going to throw out buying yourself a candle as a stocking stuffer. But another thing that I'm really getting passionate about because of not only being a cardiologist, but also trying to be more proactive with patients and, men's health and things like that, but it's eating healthy, right? So imagine if there was a cookbook out there that was kind of dedicated for people with vascular disease. Like, wouldn't that be pretty cool? I wonder, can you find one anywhere, Kim?
I think we can. This was actually, we have food for thought. It's a Pad Warrior's Handbook for Healthier Eating, and it's designed not to talk at you. It's designed, and it's not designed to give you medical advice. How we designed this book was based on the questions that people who had come to our organization, the Global PAD Association, with questions. And we designed this book just to provide general education about diet and create a workbook for them to sit down and have a more productive discussion with their doctors. And so there's a lot of really good, solid information. You have Dr. Michael Danziger, who was the main editor of the book, and he wrote the Tufts University Diabetes Reversal Program. He has diabetes reversal programs that are covered by insurance, actually, in Massachusetts and in Florida. And he's looking to expand to Ohio and others. But he was also a medical advisor for that famous show on NBC and I think USA Network that's no longer around anymore, The Biggest Loser.
Yeah. We've
So
had him on a couple of times, right?
yes, we have. And he has actually announced that he is going to be our chief medical officer as well for the Global PAD Association, as we focus more on prevention and lifestyle modifications to empower people to take their health into their own hands. So this book is in fact available online, and it's $20. It costs, I think, in royalties, I think Amazon gets $18.75 in royalties. So we just made it an even 20. So it's basic. If you can't afford it.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's
Did
pretty
they take that
ridiculous.
much? Wow.
Yeah. Unless I want to order author's copies and then I get a discount on it. So it's actually cheaper for us to buy a bunch of the books and then send them out to people. So if people can't afford it, please go ahead and email info at padhelp.org and
Well,
we'll make
Kim,
sure.
can I ask you this, since Thanksgiving is Thursday, just like what's one food, like what's one traditional staple that you have always eaten, but think of an alternative now to that, maybe that's more heart healthy or vascular health. Like, so I don't know, gravy or something, or what would be one suggestion for the audience?
So in the book, that's actually we focus on the substitutions. So we don't want to change everything. You don't have to change everything, and it's hard to just change everything. So taking those little steps, and one thing that you can do over Thanksgiving is just don't add a bunch of flour to the gravy. And that's really bad. It's filled with gluten as well. And so what we use instead is either arrowroot or a little bit of xanthan gum in order to, and then you put it in the blender and it blends right up, and you could actually use so much less. And if you like that extra flavor, supposedly that flour adds, just instead add more garlic and add garlic to that mixture as well. And it makes a big difference.
Can you add, so I'm a huge proponent of like whole wheat flour, because the enriched flour that we eat, and I think that's killing us, frankly. And we will have like a show on food as medicine, but could you add whole wheat flour to gravy? Or is that just
For those people that can tolerate wheat? But what we're finding a lot these days is a lot of our patients with cardiovascular and vascular disease have a genetic mutation known as MTHFR, which makes it really tough for people to turn food into fuel. And so they really have a lot of trouble with that gluten. And so we try to stay away from, in most of the food demonstrations in our books, we try to stay away from any of those products. We do agree that if you do have, you are able to do flour, whole wheat is definitely best and not enriched if at all possible.
right? Because the whole wheat, when you have the enriched flour, it strips of the bran, and you lose the fiber, and you need the fiber, both the soluble and insoluble fiber. The insoluble fiber helps you feel more full, so you eat less, and then the soluble fiber helps control your blood sugar. So another tip: eat as much fiber as you can. And I would tell people, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about lipoprotein little a. If you're out there looking for a diet to get after this holiday season, the Mediterranean one is the easiest one. And I think it's the most studied too.
Yep. And that's what we focus on a lot in the book. And so other gifts, since we're talking about food, may include an Instapot. And in the book, we actually feature one of our fellow PAD warriors, Douglas, if I think he's on here, if he wants to share his experience with an Instapot and how the Instapot, Douglas, actually changed your life.
Think about the Instapot. It has changed my life completely in what I eat and how I eat. And talking about it, I have my Instapot out right now, my chicken thawing, my chia seeds, and all my beets, and I had squash and broccoli and zucchini ready to go in the Instapot. And it takes 40 minutes, and 15 minutes later, I'm eating. So within an hour, I can eat, and I can do all this other stuff while it's cooking.
That's awesome.
And it's simple, and the Instapot wasn't that expensive, and it really has. There it is right there.
Hey, hey, Douglas.
Yes.
Do you use the Instapot for Thanksgiving? I mean, can you throw a turkey in that bad boy?
If I chop it up enough, it might fit my Instapot.
He can make turkey stew, turkey chili, turkey soup.
I mean, honestly, like turkey, if you cook turkey well, and you have to brine it, I think, because it can get too dry. But I mean, it's a very good, healthy animal protein. So, I mean, I don't know why we only eat it once a year, because good turkey is good turkey.
And so the Instapot can do fish. It can do all the other stuff that I eat healthy with, that I've learned how to use now. So, and the easiest part is I can do all this other stuff while it's cooking. And then within an hour, I can eat a good, heart healthy meal for me.
And you don't have to be a chef to do it. You can just throw things in. We talk about just going to the dollar store and grabbing bags and bags of all kinds of different vegetables. And you can even get fajita mixes at some of the dollar stores. And you just throw them into your Instapot with some water, a bunch of different spices. We always say to use some red chili flakes and some cayenne pepper in there, because that can make anything very flavorful. The other thing that we tell people to do, I mean, if you're going to have two items, the other one is a blender. Any sort of blender. I use the Vitamix. Right now I couldn't afford another Vitamix if I wasn't given it as a gift. So sometimes the Magic Bullet or the Ninja are a little bit less expensive. And Dr. John, you were mentioning, we talked about the gravy, and what I do is I take some of the broth and I put it into my blender or my Ninja or my Vitamix, and then I add the arrowroot there and I just blend it, and then it allows me to add just little by little more and more until it gets the appropriate thickness. And you can also use
And coming up here on
the
the Heart of Innovation, Kym is going to share her excitement with more recipes and dishes. So please do not go anywhere. You are listening to KDOW 1228 AM.
Nice job. And Josh mentions the green bean casserole. Our YouTube producer here. And that's interesting because we demonstrated that one year, how you can make that actually healthier. The only thing was the crispy, fried onions. But you know what? If you can make the rest of it healthier, add a few onions, what the heck. But instead of using the canned cream of mushroom, I taught people how they can actually use walnuts and blend the walnuts in their Ninja blender or their Vitamix with 3 cups of water. Add the arrowroot or add the xanthan gum to thicken it. Add a little bit of nutritional yeast, all your bunch of mushrooms, cooked mushrooms that have been sauteed with some onions. And when you mix that up and you use it as your base, you don't need that canned creamed mushroom soup. And you can have something just that much healthier and with a little bit more protein.
That's awesome. All right, let's see here. Now, do you want to talk about olive oil? Do you want to talk about some of the anti-inflammatory stuff? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, we can, wherever you want to start. I'll just bring up whatever.
Douglas, can I ask you on air about the upcoming appointment you're making, or no? It is Men's Health Month.
Yes, sir.
Can I?
Yes, sir. Because we have a lot of men in the group that it might help also.
Sure. Let's do it.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a great gift to get people.
Let's see.
Okay.
I like the.
I want to talk about it, then get denied and can't afford it, but we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean,
But the good news is I think some of that is actually free. And at least you have like a general free consult as
yeah,
well to at
yeah.
least get the basics.
Yep. The consult's free. The testosterone draw, the PSA is free. And then it's just a question of what treatment options are available, if you qualify for it and stuff. It's hard because most of the time the T is not low testosterone. The testosterone supplement's not, or a replacement, I should say, is not covered by insurance.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's important to discuss because
Yep.
men need to.
It's the whole physical aspects, not just my legs and eating right. It's everything in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like they're touchy issues, right? Folks with vascular disease have erectile dysfunction. They have, problem, and that's difficult for people. And it's 2024. We can talk about it. You can have a conversation. You can get help. There's stuff out there.
Yep. And
Gosh, I'm just
that's so
watching.
important.
That goes
Yeah.
along with having to make that decision for Dr. Baker next month. It's coming up really quick.
Yep. You should have a private conversation with Dr. Phillips just about that, because I think he knows you well enough and you've been here. That's a very important conversation that I think that it's interesting, Dr. Phillips, and I think you'll find it interesting, but it is a tough decision. It's a quality of life issue, but also then, are you risking your life in that? So, if you don't mind.
Yeah, definitely. Douglas texts me, calls me.
I love that.
All right, everyone. About now 10 seconds till we air.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kym McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Welcome back, everybody. Gee, talking about all that, the Ninja and the Instapot, it's making me hungry. But so let's talk about healthy oils, or I guess fats. Mediterranean diet recommends, olive oil to be kind of replaced as animal fat. I love olive oil, but now Kym, you use a fair amount of avocado oil, don't you? And you've got certain olive oils that you love, and I think you got some on the shopping list, right?
I do. I actually have one that is actually clinically proven to be the healthiest olive oil actually in the world. 3 years running. It is put out by a company called Amphora Nueva. And if you go to amforanueva.com, AMPHORANUEVA.com/Marin, it'll automatically take you to Berkeley, but make sure you do put in /Marin and check out their website. They do have, I think, their Kalamata oil, which is clinically proven to have the healthiest, particulates, the polyphenols, antioxidants, oleocanthols, like all of the above, right? Everything you can't pronounce, but really healthy olive oil. That one is actually getting ready to come out with its fresh batch, and you need to call them to get your name on the list for that. But if you call them and you ask them for the DSO and tell them the way to my heart, they will give you a 10% discount. So that is really important to know. And they'll even ship it to you and find you the best shipping prices. But they not only have the olive oil, but they also have balsamic vinegars that are naturally infused. Their white balsamic vinegar has been clinically proven to have the same properties, healthy properties, as apple cider vinegar. There is a little bit more sugar in some of those versus apple cider vinegar, so you have to keep that in mind. But I make really great mocktails using it, especially the Sicilian lemon. I'll put that in a little bit of Pellegrino, and I'll add a lime or a lemon, and it's almost like Sprite. It is absolutely delicious. But they
Really?
also do have apple cider vinegar there. Everything is bottled on site when they send it. And we even have, you remember Dr. James Antisana, vascular
Mhm.
surgeon out of North Carolina. He literally writes prescriptions for this olive oil for his patients because
Really?
most of the olive oil he does. Most of the olive oil people don't know is if you get it off the store shelves, a lot of it is rancid. And so, especially in the way it's produced. So it's really important that if you're going to splurge on one thing, make sure it's your olive oil, make sure it's extra virgin, early harvest or first harvest, hand pressed, hand picked, cold pressed, if you're going
Yes.
to choose.
So is that like Marin County, right? Is that like why do you have to type in Marin? Is that, am I,
Forward slash, it's because they have different stores and they do
oh,
have different distribution outlets. And if you do want the discount,
I see.
you have to go to the one in
Okay.
Marin because that's the one that's near me. And
And this is only
let's see.
in California?
This one is, they do have distribution sites in different places. If you go to Victoria, I think if you search Victoria Foods,
Hmm.
you can see they're all medal winners,
Oh.
for this olive oil. But even the dogs like it too. If you could hear them barking.
You got to
Um,
feed the dogs. You got to
you,
feed the
you do.
dogs.
I actually put a little bit of this olive oil, on their food every single morning, at the request of their veterinarian,
What
who
about
says it's really good for 'em.
what about the big guy? Does Dad like this olive oil?
He does. He actually takes a tablespoon of the olive oil in the morning before his breakfast and a tablespoon before dinner. And what's interesting is that he was on the verge of going in the hospital. They couldn't figure out, his inflammation was through the roof. He had fluid around his lungs and his heart, and they just couldn't figure out why. His body was just going crazy. And his dietitian, who has her PhD, said, you know what, you really need to try this olive oil, which is how he discovered it, coupled with some turmeric extract. And within 3 weeks, his inflammation completely reduced.
Wow.
So his cardiologist was like, what did you do? And he created a frenzy of buying the olive oil over at the VA in the San Francisco Bay Area. So you never know.
No, you don't.
Well, coming up right here on the Heart of Innovation, we'll have our final thoughts and some final stocking stuffers that you might want to get your favorite family member or friend. So stay with us. So I guess we only have a few minutes left.
I know. Yes, 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 yes. What about the Choco Zero Sugar-Free truffles? We should finish on a dessert, right?
We should, yeah, that and I think that the diabetic mirror is really important.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Probably.
Let's do that. Have you had those? See, I'm a little
The Chalk
leery about.
Zero?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the chocolate chips. And anytime you're doing something that's a little different than what's normal, we're used to the flavor of sugar. But if you take that out of the mix, my dad and I actually have handfuls of their Chalk Zero chocolate chips. We'll have like a handful after dinner or something.
I mean,
If we're
I
really
do
hankering
get, yeah, like I'll get a Jonesin for some chocolate, and I bought some 95% like cocoa bars, and those are bitter, and that's tough to eat. But I wanted something that just had a lot of, because there, chocolate has some pretty good properties to it if you get it with a high enough percentage. I mean, I think eating a Hershey bar is probably not the right thing. But so what is the sugar substitute in this, or what makes it sweet?
And it's I think monk fruit extract.
Is it monk
I
fruit?
don't
Okay.
get regular monk fruit sugar because it's mixed with xylitol, but this is general monk fruit extract without anything in it, which is good. Do you want to move through? Because I'd love to finish if we want to get to that, the mirror, and just some final things, chocolate. But you wanted to mention the game day because it is November.
Oh
Men's
yeah,
Health.
yeah. I'll
So
do
we
that.
only have
Can I do that
4
from the
minutes.
kickoff?
Yeah, you want to start with that, but and spend
Sure.
2 minutes, and then we'll hit on, of course, dessert, and then we can't leave without the mirror because I think, as you know, checking your feet, and maybe that
Yes.
could be a final reminder for everybody this holiday season. Just being a doctor and saying it's really important. If you can't reach your feet, you can't see your feet, get one of these for your family member. Probably would come a lot better from you than me.
What do we have timing wise? Is this 4 minutes?
This is our 4-minute segment.
4 minutes. Okay.
But I love these types of shows where we just talk.
I know there's so much. There's no pressure. You just keep talking. You're hoping someone's listening. It is pretty cool to have a platform to share these thoughts, because I think it's important, particularly as the holidays set in. I'll have some patients who are like, well, I'll start exercising after the holidays. I said, why not just do it now? Like, or at least do something. Although I was really happy. One of my patients told me that he set a quit date for smoking, and which is really important. If you smoke, you have to set a date. Like, I'm going to quit this day. You mark it on the calendar. And I was fully anticipating him saying, like, I don't know, January 1st or whatever, but he's doing it December 1st, which is in a week.
Wow.
So I was pretty proud of him for that. That was cool.
That is really cool.
I guess it's 2 weeks. No.
And
yeah.
I know Marcia, who's here, will also attest to the fact that setting a date is really important. And you got to set the date today as to where you're going to go. You can't kick yourself if you miss it, but it shows at least you're trying, right?
Right. 100%. Just do it now. Do it now. Do it now. Just do it now. Do something.
You know what? Whatever.
Indiana. The Buckeyes are playing. Buckeyes are 2, Indiana's 5, and I think they're going to be up 35-7 here pretty soon. So that game's over. Penn State's still doing well.
Yeah, but they're no match. I mean, for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I don't think so. We'll probably have another Oregon Buckeye rematch here.
That'll be interesting.
In the Big Ten championship. We play Michigan next week.
Forgot to show up today.
My dad said Indiana forgot to show up.
They looked really good that first drive. Just took it down. And then the wheels kind of, as soon as they started blitzing them, Buckeyes were killing them. I don't know how many sacks they had.
That's
all
crazy.
Right. It's about to be showtime magic, everyone. We got about 10 seconds. Let's go and have a merry, merry, happy time.
Thank you. Whatever we don't get to, we can spend 5 minutes after, and then I can edit it in later.
Sure.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kym McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Time flies when you're having fun. We only have a few minutes left, but I would be remiss if I didn't comment on the fact that I am looking more and more homeless as the month of November is ticking away. We're doing No Shave November at our Game Day Men's Health Clinic here in Columbus. We're raising money for prostate cancer. And I said, if I win this sucker, because there's 2 other guys in competition, then I'm going to donate whatever it is that we raise personally to PAD awareness. So at any rate, November's Men's Health Month. I think it's important that patients, men particularly, know their numbers because we're trying to be proactive. Know your testosterone level, know your PSA. You can come to any game day clinic throughout the country. It's a free consult and a free testosterone draw level, as well as a PSA. And I think maybe a couple of folks listening have gone to game day, or at least one, I know one of, and somebody else might be going too, right, Douglas?
Yes, sir. I'm scheduled to be there Tuesday at 1:00. It's a 2-hour drive, but it's one of those. What are you willing to do for your health?
I like it. Yeah, being proactive. It's all about, like, what we've talked about today is being proactive, right? And I think being proactive with your heart, what you put in your body, being proactive, exercising, but also being proactive. If you're diabetic, you need to kind of look at your feet on a daily basis. And so a stocking stuffer, I think there's an extending mirror of sorts that Kym put on the list. So anybody with diabetes, and if you're having difficulty, you should have this so you can look at the bottom of your feet. And there they are right now. I mean, gosh, for what, $9 or something, you can get one.
Yeah, we lost it here. So I'm gonna put it up here right now.
Okay.
It's the diabetic mirror. You need to be able to check your feet every single day if you can. We even had a doctor that came on and said, if you're sitting on the toilet, put a mirror in front of the toilet so you can actually look at your feet while you're sitting on the toilet. But if that's too graphic for you, make sure you get
Just
one of
make
these
sure, hey, make
extended
sure it's at a
mirrors.
certain level there, people.
Exactly. We should end here on just some really fun things that, especially, we always like food and people like giving food as gifts, and we love dessert. And if you
Yes.
have diabetes, my favorite one is Chalk Zero. I love their brand. They're out of California. It's an artisanal brand. It's keto chocolate, and they have chocolate truffles, which are delicious. So that is an option. The sweetener is monk fruit extract. Another thing that you can get is a lot of spices. So, with anti-inflammatory spices, the turmerics, the gingers, the cinnamon, the pepper, the cardamom, absolutely fantastic. And another gift pack you can get for a patient who needs a little anti-inflammatory action, you can get a juice set of turmeric and ginger juice. So, also really great stocking stuffers for people who have chronic illnesses and ailments where they need to reduce inflammation.
Because I don't know about you, at night I jones for a little chocolate, and that sounds like a pretty good alternative. Because grabbing a bunch of M&Ms probably isn't the best thing for you, particularly if you're diabetic, because that sugar goes up. So, great show, love the topic, and I'm hoping to get some stocking stuffers out there. And again, whoever was on the show is getting a Save My Piggies ornament.